As we learned earlier, every circuit breaker will have an amperage limit. For example, a 20 amp breaker is designed to handle a total capacity of 20 amps of power being used on that particular household circuit. If electrical devices on that circuit are drawing more than 20 amps of power, the wire will heat up. At that point, a properly functioning breaker will trip. It is crucial that we choose the correct gauge wire for the circuit we want to install. This chart indicates which gauge wires are appropriate for the chosen circuit breaker. Using 14 gauge wire on a 20 amp circuit could be a dangerous situation because if the 14 gauge wire were to overheat, the breaker may not detect that overheating as a dangerous situation and may not trip itself. The heat may melt the wire and cause a short circuit or a fire. A short circuit is a potentially dangerous situation that can cause fire or shock. This occurs when a hot wire and a neutral or ground come into contact in some unintended way. In these cases, most of the electrical current will take the path of least resistance and will pass directly out of the hot wire and will continue back to ground using another wire instead of continuing along its intended path. When this occurs, heat builds up very quickly because the current has very low resistance. A properly functioning circuit breaker should sense this fault and trip itself. A short circuit often occurs accidentally due to faulty wiring or bad connections.
Just to elaborate a little bit more on the breakers and overload versus overcurrent. When there's a short circuit, the amount of current that flows through that breaker is extremely high, and there's called an instantaneous trip, which makes the breaker trip almost immediately in a short circuit condition. An overload is different. That is when you reach the rating of the breaker, getting close to the rated ampacity, say 20 amps. That heat builds up then, and it's a little slower process, but will cause the breaker to trip, just like a short circuit condition will.